Okay, everybody. Here's another of the series of training videos for studio number 1. This time I'm going to show you how to hook up a computer to the board here, and we're going to use, first of all, let's take a look at the control surface that we're going to deal with. We're dealing with channel number 7 at this point, the auxiliary input. Okay, so basically it's second to out of the 8 channels that we're using. It's right next to the right hand channel one. So basically you've got channels 1, 2, 3, 4, microphones 1 and 2, turntables 1 and 2, CDs 1 and 2 on channel 5 and 6, auxiliary on 7, and the computer's input on channel 8. So here's what we've got. Just like before, we've got the input on-off switch, we've got the fader, we've got the assigns. Okay, so at this point we're going to go and take a look at the patch panel that will allow you to connect your devices to the board. Okay, so here we go. We're going to zoom over here a little bit, and we're going to go over, and the very bottom item on the rack is the patch panel, and it's an XLR patch panel, and we basically have 2 types of connectors that you'll see. Basically these ones right here are female connectors, and they are inputs. And then we've got male connectors, which are outputs. Okay, so that's what we've got. And that's the way microphones work, and that's the way balanced audio connections of all kinds work. So let's take a look at what we've got here. First thing that we've got the auxiliary input, which hopefully you can see pretty decent. That's left and right, and those are the 2 inputs right there. And then you don't worry about these. Those are outputs from the board. And then in a later video, we're going to show you about this one, which is the connection to mic number 2. So I'm going to show you that here shortly. But right now, though, we're going to take a look at the XLR connector, and this is a professional audio connector, so you don't find these things at most stereo stores. You got to go to Radio Shacks will sell stuff like that too, but generally you got to go to a musician type store, and there's a lot of them around here. So not to be commercial or anything, but at this point we're going to take a look. Now you're going to need some kind of an audio adapter, so let's take a look at the 2 types of connectors that I have. On this side over here, I've got a patch cable, and it has the XLR inputs, outputs, as you can see, they're left and right. And then when you are going to need an adapter like this for sure, which is an 1/8 inch stereo mini plug, and that's what you're going to use to connect to your headphones. Okay, so there's that. All right, so what we've got here, we've got those. This is 1 unit. It's a 1 cable, and it's pretty handy because it's got the right kind of ends that you need, and everything's cool. But if you've got an RCA connector, you might want something like this over here. See, now we've got 2 of these type, and here again it's still the XLR male. And then on the other side, it's got an RCA female. See, so you can use those if you've got the more common 1/8 inch stereo to RCA plug. Okay, so there's that. And if you have your adapters, you'll see that they plug in really nicely right here. And then this other one plugs right in there like that. And then it turns your connections into standard RCA patch cable networks connections. So there's that. So that's something that you can get, and those are easy. But here again, the best thing that I like is to use the headphone, this purpose-built cable. So that's kind of cool, because then everything is all set and it looks all slick. Alright, so at this point we got them all connecting, and ready to go. Okay, so now all we'd have to do is unhook this, and then we'll go string it and plug it into the headphone output on the computer. And then we'll see as we zoom out, we see we've got the deal here, and we're moving it all the way over. And my particular computer, yours may be like this too, and we'll see if we can't get into it a little bit here. Basically what you got here is you have, as we zoom way in, let's see if the thing will do it, you've got on this particular computer you've got 2 jacks, and it doesn't appear like it's going to help us out that much. There we go. Let me see if I can't get a little bit more angle on it. There we go. That's better. Okay, and you can see over on the far left, that's a microphone input jack, but then I've got 2 headphone outputs on the right-hand side. And that's kind of handy because you can use one of them for your output, and the other one can go to a headset if you need to have that. But at this point, we're going to take our connector right here. This one, as we said before, is an 1/8 inch, sometimes called a 3.5 millimeter mini stereo jack, and we're going to take that and plug that right into the headphone output of the computer. Okay, so at this point we're good to go, and now we can see plainly that we have a connection all the way from the computer over here to the board. Alright, okay, so now let's go over and see, well, what should we use? Now you can use any kind of sound source on your computer that you want. I mean, at this point I may have to show you how to deal with your audio inputs and stuff like that, but you know, you ought to be able to know how to use that. So at this point what I do is I've got Winamp, and I've got a selection of country music all loaded up and ready to play. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what is going to happen as we go over, and we're going to hit play. Okay, so now I've got the audio coming out of my computer. So I'm going to go and there we go. So a little boot scoot boogie going on there, and it's coming out of my speakers, or it was until I plugged in my headphone cord. And now all I got to do is move over here to channel 7, turn on the key, and then we'll go over here and we'll fade it up a little bit, and miraculously it's coming through the board, and you can see on the meters. There you go. Okay, so let's take a look. That looks like a decent level on this side. Now let's take a look and see if our faders is correct, because here's the deal. You always want to check and make sure that you've got a good level on the fader to start out with. So I'm going to zoom back a little bit here. Alright. Okay, there we go. So there's a good fader level. I'm going to take a look at the board. It could be a little bit louder, so here's what you do. You go to your computer and you raise the volume on your computer just a little bit. See, you can go up here, raise the volume on your computer, and get yourself a little bit more output to the input. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And that's fairly decent. It's a little bit low, but it's not too bad. Okay. Okay, so at this point, now you can make your recordings just like always. Everything goes in, and basically recapping here, we've got audio coming from the computer, and it could be any kind of sound source that you want, you know, a Skype interview, for example, or anything. But you take the output of the computer, run it in to the auxiliary input that you see down here, and it shows up on the board on channel 7. There's channel 7, and as you can see, you fade it up, turn on the key, send it on into program. You'll see levels, and you'll hear everything, and you'll make recordings, and everything will sound cool. Okay, so that's how that works. All right, everybody. So next time, show you how to hook up the second microphone. So here again, questions or comments, any kind of feedback, anything you want me to show you, make a video of, let me know, and we will help you out. Thanks a lot, everybody.